So I'm going to show you how I go about configuring a Webpack configuration file. And that file is actually something that I'll use if I'm going through having to theme a new WordPress website, or doing landing pages, or any form of web development or design that I do. I ensure some sort of build tool that I can use to basically compile all of my libraries, my JavaScript files, CSS files, images, fonts, and the list goes on. There's also other options that I could use to optimize my build also, but um, I'll see if I have some time to go through those pieces. But as far as what we're going to do today is I'm going to just walk through the steps I take to configure my WordPress build. So first thing we want to do is create a configuration file. And so the way I want to do that is I'm going to go ahead and create a directory where I want to house my Webpack configuration. So no, you know what? Let's just call it a Webpack build template, because I'm gonna use this in future web builds. So let's just start here. All right, and then okay, in there, clear. And the next thing I want to do is create a package.json file. This will allow me to house all of the dependencies that I'll be using with this build. So I like to use Yarn. You can use any dependency managing tool that you choose. I choose Yarn, so let me just go in and create that. That's fine. I don't have a URL yet for my repository. Let's just call it NOLA Coder. So author. Yes. Private is true, because we don't want to publish this to npm or Yarn. So what I want to do before I begin adding my dependencies, I want to create two configuration files, one for development and then one for production. So I'll call one, let's just call it prod config.js. Touch prod config.js, and then touch dev config.js. All right. So clear. Next thing I want to do is let's just open this up. All right. And I have my two files. So the first thing I'm going to do is, let's just start by writing out our configuration. So I'm going to add I'll require the path module, and you're going to see why I need this in a few seconds. And then I'll need to export it, since this is a module itself. And what I need for my configuration or my module is I need an entry to this module, and this property will allow you to read from the file that will actually become your, what I want to say, I guess you can call it a configuration file of your dependency graph. So what happens is when you execute the Webpack function, what will happen is it's actually going to read that entry file from top down, and it's going to execute everything within that file from top down. So if you have any packages that you're going to import in that file, it's going to read it from top down. So I'm going to show you how that works. And then what we need to do when we execute our Webpack build is we want to have it output a file somewhere. So by default, if you didn't use a configuration file, you can execute it from the command line, and what'll happen is it'll look for a index file or main.js file, and then it'll output it as a bundle.js file. So because we want to fine tune our configuration, this is the reason why we're using a configuration file. But going back to the output, what you're going to have to do is there's two options within the output property, one being the file name, and I'll call this one let's just call this dev .bundle.js. And then we need a path. Basically, where is this file going to be saved? So let's go ahead and create our path, and we're going to be using the path package to save to a directory, and we'll resolve it. All right, and so the first argument they're looking for is where is this is going to be stored. So I'm gonna use this as the as a means to say, hey, I want to save it in this directory, in the directory that this file is located in, which is dev.config.js. And then I want to name my directory, so let's just call it dist. So it would be distribution, dist for short. All right. So let's say we wanted to go ahead and just build this. Let's see what happens. And it cannot resolve the source file or the so it cannot resolve the src folder. It's because we don't have it created yet within the directory. So let's go ahead and create the directory src. And in there, we're going to put our index.js. Let's run that again. Okay, so it looks like it ran our file, and this is showing our dependency graph. So how is it executing, in what order is it executing? So when we fire it, it's showing us that, okay, it's reading from the index and then it's outputting as main there. Okay, so that's by default, only because we're not well, let me back up. So the reason why this is outputting as main is because when we executed the Webpack um, function, it's not looking for this configuration file. So what we have to do to read from that configuration file is there's an option called config, and then we do dev.config, and then when this builds, you'll see that we get our dev.bundle.js file there. Okay. All right. So the other thing we want to do is we want to read JavaScript files. And to do that, what we need to do is add something which is it's called rules. And you could think of it as you could think of it as conditions. So basically what you're saying is, what files am I ingesting into my bundle, and how do I want them to be transformed and output to my final file or final bundle. So in there, you want to create an object for your specific test. So for your specific rule. So for this particular rule, we're gonna test for JavaScript files. And so there's two options that you need for each rule. You need a test, and then there's a use option. And with that option, you're going to use a loader, and that loader allows you to read in a certain type of file type based on your test. So for this one, we're using JavaScript files, and when you're giving your test option a condition, you have to write it as a regular expression. So what we want to do is, since we're looking for any file in that directory that's a JavaScript file, we'll just do / / JS and $. And because we're going to use different types of libraries that could be written in ES 2015, ES6 and beyond, I want to add a loader. And the loader we're going to use is a Babel loader. And that'll allow us to transform any type of JavaScript type down into our bundle. So to use it, we'll just do use Babel loader. All right. Now, if I want to test this, let's just say I just do app.js, right? And then console dot, this is the dev build. All right. And then what I want to do is I want to import that file. And because it's JavaScript, I don't need to add an extension. I just put in the file name. All right. So if I run this, let's run this. Oh, let's see what we got going on here. So it's telling me if you like to use Babel's 6.x, use Babel core. Okay, so you should install Babel loader at version 7. Okay, so let's do that. Let's see what we get. All right. Oh, you know what? I didn't I don't want to use this in my production build, but this is my dev build, but I don't want to use that in my production build. But okay, so let's run that again. We should get any errors. And it looks like I need to add Babel core. Okay. Let that run. Okay. Now let's run that again. All right, so you'll see where it starts. So when we execute, you'll see in our dependency graph that it comes in here at the index, which is our entry, right? And then from the entry, it reads the first import in the file, which is the app, right? So if we want to ensure that what we added to app.js is in our build, let's go in and this shouldn't be minified just yet. And there's a way we can actually set the mode. If we do -- mode dev or development, I believe. There we go. So that should build out without minifying it. So if we search for the console, you'll see it's here, and this is where it's going to be executed here. All right. So I'm going to stop right here just so I can keep this video short. In my next video, I'm going to continue on with the JavaScript piece and also set some scripts within my package.json. So if you like this content that I just shared, please subscribe to this channel. Go ahead and hit that notification button while you're at it so you could actually be notified when I post my next video.